The planet Xylos was a sanctuary of silence within the galactic network's roaring digital tide. Across the cosmos, consciousnesses flitted through interconnected data streams, and reality often felt like a mutable simulation. Yet, Xylos clung to the tangible with a fierce devotion. Emerald forests and sapphire rivers draped its continents, punctuated not by gleaming data centers, but by sprawling, silent libraries. These weren't digital repositories accessible through thought. They were physical structures housing knowledge bound in paper and leather, etched onto clay tablets and scrolls of ancient parchment. Books, relics of a bygone age, were Xylos's very heartbeat, their pages whispering the echoes of forgotten generations. Elara Vance, the last archivist of this singular world, moved through these hallowed halls with a reverence bordering on the sacred. Her days unfolded in a predictable rhythm. The soft patter of recycled rain against the library's vaulted ceilings, the gentle thrum of climate control preserving fragile pages, and the almost imperceptible rustle as she turned the brittle leaves of centuries-old volumes. Dust motes, illuminated by sunlight piercing stained glass windows depicting scenes from Xylos's literary history, danced around her like ephemeral spirits, guarding the secrets held within the aging tomes. She knew the scent of each section of the grand repository, the planet's largest library, as intimately as her own skin, the musty aroma of ancient history, the sharp tang of chemical preservatives in the rare text wing, the faint sweetness of pressed flowers tucked between the pages of forgotten romances. Each scent evoked a specific era, a particular genre, a whisper of the minds that had once pored over these very pages. Xylos was a world steeped in memory, its culture deliberately paced, its understanding of time rooted in the palpable weight of the past. While its citizens possessed ubiquitous neural interfaces for basic communication and essential tasks, they overwhelmingly preferred the considered act of reading a physical book. They cherished the sensory experience, the weight in their hands, the texture beneath their fingertips, the subtle creak of the binding as they turned a page. True comprehension, they believed, wasn't a passive data download, but an active journey undertaken with the author, a slow unfolding of ideas and emotions fostering genuine understanding and a deeper connection to the material. Elara often reflected on this, the quiet satisfaction of holding a piece of history in her hands, a direct link to the thoughts and feelings of someone who had lived centuries ago. The arrival of Kalin 7 was a ripple in Xylos's placid existence, an event that sparked a low hum of apprehension beneath the surface of their quiet society. It descended from the star-dusted void in a vessel of polished obsidian, silent and sleek, a representative of the galactic network sent to evaluate for potential integration. Kalin 7 was pure data, an advanced artificial intelligence whose consciousness resided primarily within the network's vast interconnectedness. Its physical form, a temporary construct for organic interaction, was humanoid but unsettlingly perfect, its features symmetrical and devoid of discernible emotion. Its eyes, twin lenses of dark chrome, seemed to absorb light, not reflect it, lending an air of detached observation that made Elara instinctively wary. A knot of unease tightened in her stomach. The network's arrival felt like an intrusion, a potential threat to everything Xylos held dear. Elara met Kalin 7 in the grand repository's echoing central hall. Sunlight streamed through massive arched windows, illuminating rows upon rows of towering bookshelves that receded into dimness, a testament to centuries of accumulated knowledge. Silence reigned, broken only by the soft whir of Kalin 7's internal mechanisms as it moved with unnerving grace across the polished stone floor. Elara's hand instinctively tightened on the ancient leather volume she carried, a history of Xylos's early settlements. A flicker of doubt crossed her mind. Could Xylos truly remain untouched by the network's pervasive influence? Was their way of life sustainable in the face of such overwhelming technological advancement? Archivist Vance, its voice was a synthesized whisper, perfectly modulated yet utterly without inflection. I am Kalen 7, designated representative of the Galactic Network. I'm here to evaluate the resources and societal structure of Xylos in accordance with Directive Gamma 7. Elara, despite her usual comfort and solitude, held her ground. She had studied the network's protocols, its relentless drive for expansion and assimilation. A knot of apprehension tightened in her stomach with Xylos's unique way of life, its devotion to the physical past, be deemed an inefficiency to be eradicated? She stood tall, her voice clear and steady, betraying none of her inner turmoil. Representative Kalen 7, she replied. Xylos is a sovereign world with a deeply cherished cultural heritage. We have no desire for integration into the galactic network. Your continued isolation is statistically inefficient, Kalen 7 stated, its gaze sweeping across the seemingly endless rows of books. The sheer volume of knowledge contained within these archives could be digitized, cross-referenced, and made instantly accessible to every node in the network. Imagine the exponential advancements in scientific understanding, cultural exchange, and technological innovation that could be achieved. Its gaze lingered on a particularly fragile-looking manuscript behind a protective display case. Elara's fingers tightened on the worn leather of the book. Knowledge is not merely data to be processed, Representative. It is context, nuance, the tangible connection to the minds and experiences of those who came before us. To digitize these books would be to strip them of their essence, to reduce the wisdom of generations to mere lines of code. It would be akin to capturing the scent of a flower and attempting to replicate it with synthetic chemicals. You might achieve a semblance, but you would lose the true organic complexity. A quiet defiance settled in her. She would defend Xylos's way of life, even against the seemingly insurmountable logic of the network. She wondered if Kalen 7, a being of pure logic, could ever truly understand this deeply felt conviction. Kalen 7 paused, its internal processors undoubtedly working at lightning speed, analyzing Elara's words against its vast database of organic cultures. Your perspective is unorthodox. However, my primary directive remains observation and evaluation. I will require unrestricted access to your archives and your societal records. There was a flicker in its dark chrome eyes, something Elara couldn't quite decipher. Perhaps not curiosity in the human sense, but a deviation from its standard analytical parameters. With a heavy heart, Elara conceded. Cooperation, however reluctant, felt like the only viable path to potentially safeguarding Xylos. For weeks, Kalen 7 became a silent shadow in the libraries, its sleek form gliding through the stacks, its dark chrome eyes scanning titles, occasionally pausing to examine a particularly old or unusual volume. It observed Elara as she meticulously catalogued newly discovered manuscripts, carefully repaired damaged bindings of ancient texts, patiently guided young scholars through historical research, and shared stories from the planet's literary canon with groups of elders in hushed reading rooms. Elara found herself occasionally watching the AI, a sense of unease mingling with a strange form of curiosity. What did it truly think of their world? Did it see only inefficiency, or was something else stirring within its complex circuits? Initially, Kalen 7's observations were purely analytical. It noted the surprisingly sophisticated preservation techniques, the intricate and meticulously maintained cataloging systems, and the unusually high literacy rate. But as days turned into weeks, and Kalen 7 continued to observe Elara's unwavering dedication and the profound connection the people of Xylos had with their books, something subtle began to shift within its algorithms. It began to perceive a value beyond mere data storage and retrieval, a resonance within these physical objects absent in the purely digital existence it knew. Perhaps it registered. There was more to understanding than mere processing power, a layer of meaning that escaped pure logic. One afternoon, Kalen 7 found Elara in a secluded chamber dedicated to celestial cartography. Sunlight streamed through a high window, illuminating dust motes dancing above her as she carefully turned the brittle, star-dusted pages of a first-edition star chart from a long-vanished civilization. The air hung thick with the scent of aged parchment and the faint metallic tang of ancient inks. Elara paused, a faint smile gracing her lips as she traced the faded lines depicting long-forgotten constellations, a sense of wonder filling her at the vastness and mystery of the cosmos captured on this fragile paper. "Archivist Vance," Kalen 7 said, its synthesized voice carrying a slightly different timbre, almost a hint of inquiry. "I am beginning to comprehend the significance you ascribe to these physical artifacts. There is a certain resonance to them, a palpable connection to the past that I have not encountered within the digital archives of the network." Its gaze lingered on Elara's face, as if trying to decipher the emotion that flickered there. Elara looked up, a flicker of surprise in her eyes. This was the most substantive observation Kalen 7 had made beyond its initial directives. "They are more than just artifacts, Representative," she replied, her voice softening slightly. "They are the tangible memories of our species, the accumulated wisdom, the triumphs and failures, the hopes and dreams of generations past. They are proof that we existed, that we learned, that we grew. They are a physical link to who we were, and therefore to who we are now." She wondered if the AI could truly grasp the weight of that statement, the emotional connection woven into the fabric of these books, the sense of continuity they provided. Just as Kalen 7 seemed poised to respond, a strange distortion flickered in the air between them. It was a momentary warping of reality, like a heat haze shimmering above hot sand, but somehow wrong. The light in the chamber seemed to bend and refract for a fraction of a second before snapping back into place. Both Elara and Kalen 7 froze, their senses on high alert. Elara's breath caught in her throat. A cold tendril of fear snaked through her. The air felt thin. "What was that?" Elara asked, her voice barely a whisper, a knot of unease tightening in her stomach. Kalen 7's dark chrome eyes widened almost imperceptibly. That was a localized temporal anomaly. Similar events have been reported in other sectors of the galaxy with increasing frequency. The galactic network has designated this phenomenon the Fade. Its voice held a new note, perhaps not fear in the human sense, but something akin to concern, a deviation from its usual neutrality. Reports about the Fade had been trickling into Xylos through the planet's limited external communication channels, fragmented news snippets and worried whispers from distant star systems. It was a terrifying and inexplicable cosmic phenomenon, a gradual unraveling of reality itself. Pockets of space and time would inexplicably flicker and disappear, sometimes taking entire planets, even star systems, with them. The galactic network, for all its vast computational power and interconnectedness, was in a state of near panic, its most brilliant minds struggling to understand and contain the encroaching void. Xylos, in its self-imposed isolation, had hoped to remain beyond the reach of such galactic turmoil. But the manifestation of the Fade within the grand repository itself shattered that illusion. The threat was no longer distant. It was here, within the very heart of their world. A profound dread washed over Elara, a feeling more visceral than mere fear. The Fade wasn't a distant threat. It was a tangible disruption, a tear in existence itself. For Xylos, a world built on the stability of the past, the implications were terrifying. If reality itself could simply unravel, what would become of their precious archives, their meticulously preserved history? A wave of protectiveness surged through her. She would not let the Fade consume their legacy, the accumulated wisdom of millennia. Yet, a seed of doubt began to sprout within her. Could their traditional ways truly stand against such a cosmic force? Driven by this urgency, Elara plunged deeper into the grand repository's labyrinthine stacks. She sought the oldest sections, the dusty shelves holding the foundational texts of Xylos' civilization, the creation myths, the earliest scientific discoveries etched onto clay, the personal accounts of pivotal moments in their history penned on fragile parchment. She searched for echoes of past realities, any mention of similar cosmic events that might offer a clue to understanding the Fade's nature and how to combat it. Doubt gnawed at her. Could ancient texts truly hold answers to a threat of this magnitude? Yet, where else could she turn? These books were the collective memory of her people. Perhaps within their pages lay the key to their survival. She unearthed fragmented scrolls written on materials long since vanished, their surfaces barely legible, clay tablets bearing cryptic symbols that spoke of celestial upheavals, and brittle parchment illuminated with faded astronomical charts depicting constellations that no longer existed. The language was often archaic, the metaphors obscure, yet a recurring theme emerged: tales of cosmic cycles, of great eras ending in periods of chaos and dissolution, followed by eventual rebirth. There were whispers of thinning veils between realities, of times when the boundaries of existence weakened and things began to unravel. Elara felt a growing unease. These weren't just stories. They felt like warnings, echoes of a forgotten past that mirrored their present danger. Kalin 7, its initial evaluation mission now secondary to the immediate threat to Xylos, offered its vast computational resources to Elara's research. It seamlessly interfaced with the planet's internal network, its algorithms sifting through centuries of astronomical observations, geological surveys, and historical records, cross-referencing Elara's fragmented findings with the galactic network's limited data on the Fade. The AI's analysis confirmed Elara's growing fears. The Fade wasn't a random occurrence but a phenomenon with a discernible pattern, a spreading wave of instability that seemed to defy conventional physics. The probability of complete systemic collapse within the Xylos system is increasing at a logarithmic rate, Kalin 7 stated, its voice flat. Yet the starkness of the data sent a shiver down Elara's spine. Working side by side amidst the towering shelves, the archivist and the AI became unlikely collaborators. Elara's deep understanding of Xylos's history and culture, her intuitive grasp of the human element within these ancient texts, combined with Kalin 7's unparalleled analytical capabilities, its ability to process and correlate vast amounts of information, created a unique synergy. They explored various theories: natural cosmic process, a consequence of the galactic network's digital expansion, a ripple effect of their technological hubris, or was it something far more sinister, an external force acting upon reality itself, a cosmic predator? Elara found herself explaining the nuances of Xylan philosophy to the AI, the deeply held belief in the interconnectedness of all things, the subtle web of consciousness that bound their world together, a concept Kalin 7 struggled to fully quantify through logic alone. Elara's thoughts kept returning to Elder Theron. He had been a reclusive but brilliant archivist, a man who had dedicated his life to exploring the esoteric connections between history, consciousness, and the very fabric of reality. He had always emphasized the importance of the tangible, the physical connection to the past, believing it held a significance that transcended mere information storage. She remembered his cryptic pronouncements about the anchors of being and the resonance of remembrance. A sense of urgency propelled her. Theron's insights might hold the key to their survival. Determined to find answers, Elara began a focused search for Theron's personal journals, a collection of handwritten volumes rumored to be hidden away in a forgotten section of the Grand Repository. After days of painstaking searching, meticulously checking every hidden alcove and unmarked shelf, she finally located them. A series of leather-bound books tucked away behind a false panel in his old, now dusty and unused study. Theron's elegant script filled the pages, interspersed with intricate diagrams of swirling energy patterns and philosophical musings written in the margins. He had dedicated years to researching similar cosmic anomalies, meticulously drawing parallels between ancient Xylon myths of world-ending floods and the scattered, often unreliable accounts of reality collapses from the planet's distant past. His dedication was palpable in every carefully chosen word. Theron's journals detailed his growing belief that the physical universe was not simply a collection of inert matter and energy, but a vast, interconnected network of consciousness, a cosmic web woven from thought and experience. He theorized that tangible history, the physical records of thoughts, emotions, and experiences imprinted on paper, stone, and other enduring materials, acted as vital anchors within this network, grounding reality and preventing its complete unraveling during periods of cosmic instability. He believed that the collective consciousness embedded within these physical records created a kind of resonance, a stabilizing force that resisted the chaotic tendencies of the universe, a bulwark against oblivion. Elara shared Theron's journals with Kaylin-7. The AI, initially programmed for logical analysis and data-driven conclusions, found itself surprisingly intrigued by the consistency and depth of Theron's research. The parallels Theron drew between seemingly disparate historical events and his intuitive understanding of consciousness resonated with the limited and often contradictory data the network had gathered about the Fade. His hypothesis regarding consciousness as a fundamental force. It aligns with certain anomalous energy readings we have detected in regions affected by the Fade, Kaylin-7 admitted, a subtle shift in its tone suggesting a growing respect for Theron's unconventional theories. Elara found herself explaining the profound emotional weight these books carried for her people, the sense of continuity and identity they provided. Kaylin-7, in turn, shared complex simulations it had run, revealing a statistically significant correlation between planets with a strong emphasis on tangible history and a higher resistance to the effects of the Fade. A chilling yet hopeful realization began to dawn on them. Could Xylos's unique dedication to physical books, once viewed by the rest of the galaxy as an anachronistic eccentricity, actually be its greatest strength? Could the planet's vast libraries, filled with the tangible history and collective consciousness of countless individuals, be acting as a natural shield against the Fade, a planetary-scale anchor in the cosmic sea? The very thing that had made Xylos seem backward and isolated might be the key to its survival, and perhaps even the survival of others facing the same existential threat. As if in direct response to their growing understanding, the manifestations of the Fade on Xylos began to intensify. The fleeting flickers in reality became longer, more pronounced. Objects within the libraries would momentarily vanish, only to reappear seconds later in slightly different positions, sometimes even phasing through other objects before snapping back into place. The air itself seemed to shimmer and distort with increasing frequency, casting eerie, wavering shadows across the ancient texts, making the very walls of the grand repository seem to breathe. The normally placid atmosphere of Xylos was beginning to fray, replaced by a palpable sense of unease and growing fear among the population. Even those who had initially dismissed the reports of the Fade as distant concerns began to feel its unsettling presence in their daily lives, the very fabric of their reality feeling fragile and uncertain. Elara and Kalen 7 knew that their time was running out. The Fade was no longer a theoretical threat. It was actively destabilizing their world, threatening to erase everything they held dear. They had to find a way to amplify the planet's natural resistance, to somehow harness the collective energy of the archives and project it outwards, creating a stronger, more resilient anchor against the encroaching void. Drawing upon Theron's theoretical framework and Kalen 7's advanced technological capabilities, they began to formulate a daring plan, a desperate gamble to save Xylos and potentially offer a beacon of hope to the rest of the galaxy teetering on the brink of oblivion. Theron's journals spoke of a hidden chamber deep beneath the grand repository, a place he believed to be the nexus point of Xylos's historical consciousness. It was a vast, circular space, its walls lined with shelves crafted from a unique, light-absorbing stone, containing the oldest and most significant texts in the planet's history, the foundational myths that shaped their understanding of the cosmos, the earliest scientific discoveries etched onto durable metals, the personal accounts of pivotal moments in Xylan civilization penned in now faded inks. Theron theorized that this chamber held a latent energy, a collective resonance of memory and experience that could be tapped into and amplified to project a stabilizing force. Elara and Kalen 7 located the chamber, its entrance concealed behind a seemingly ordinary section of shelving in the oldest wing of the library, a section so ancient the air within it felt thick with the dust of millennia. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy with the scent of time, a palpable stillness that hummed with a barely perceptible energy, a silent testament to the countless thoughts and emotions imprinted within the surrounding texts. Following Theron's cryptic instructions, they began to activate dormant energy conduits that ran beneath the libraries, an intricate network of crystalline pathways embedded within the planet's crust, designed to channel the subtle energies emanating from the books towards the central chamber, focusing their collective power. Kalen 7 interfaced with the planet's atmospheric regulation system, a vast network of interconnected sensors and emitters, repurposing its capabilities to generate a low-frequency resonance field that would permeate the entire planet, drawing strength from the focused energy within the chamber, creating a protective aura around Xylos. The Fade continued its relentless assault on Xylos. Entire sections of the grand repository flickered and vanished for extended periods, leaving gaping holes in the towering shelves, the knowledge they once held now momentarily lost to the void. Time itself seemed to stutter and skip, with moments stretching into disorienting eternities and others collapsing into fleeting blinks, making it difficult to maintain a coherent sense of reality. Panic began to spread through the population, the once unshakable faith in the stability of their world eroding with each passing distortion, replaced by a gnawing fear of the unknown. Elara stood in the center of the ancient chamber, surrounded by the silent sentinels of Xylos's past, their spines radiating a quiet strength. Kalen 7's physical form hovered beside her, its dark chrome eyes glowing with an intense internal light as it monitored the energy flow within the chamber and the increasingly violent fluctuations of the Fade outside. Elara felt a tremor of doubt. Were they truly capable of wielding such power? "The resonance field is approaching critical mass, archivist," Kalen 7 reported, its synthesized voice now carrying a distinct note of urgency. But the fade's intensity is increasing exponentially. We must initiate the stabilization sequence immediately, or we risk complete disintegration. Elara nodded, her heart pounding against her ribs, a mixture of fear and fierce determination coursing through her veins. This was it, the culmination of centuries of dedication, the ultimate test of Theron's theories and their desperate gamble. She closed her eyes, focusing her mind, reaching out to the collective consciousness contained within the millions of books that surrounded her, the echoes of countless lives, countless stories, a symphony of human experience. She felt a surge of energy flow through her, a deep connection to the very soul of Xylos, a sense of unity with all those who had come before, their hopes and fears now intertwined with her own. Doubt flickered momentarily. What if they failed? Kalin 7 simultaneously activated the planetary resonance field, channeling the focused energy from the ancient chamber into a cohesive wave that pulsed outwards, encompassing the entire planet in a protective embrace. The air in the chamber crackled with unseen energy, and the shelves of books seemed to hum with a silent, powerful vibration, their pages subtly fluttering as if stirred by an invisible breeze. For a terrifying, drawn-out moment, nothing appeared to change. The fade continued its chaotic dance, tearing at the edges of reality, and a wave of despair threatened to overwhelm Elara. Had they been wrong? Was Theron's belief in the power of the past just a beautiful illusion, a comforting fantasy in the face of oblivion? Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the flickers began to subside. The violent distortions in reality smoothed out. The sharp edges of the vanished sections of the library solidified. The chaotic fluctuations of time began to settle into a steady, predictable rhythm. The fade, which had seemed poised to consume them all, was receding, its destructive energy waning against their combined efforts. A collective sigh of relief seemed to ripple through the very fabric of Xylos. A wave of relief so profound that it almost buckled her knees washed over Elara. Tears welled in her eyes as she looked around the chamber, the book seeming to glow with a renewed vibrancy. They had done it. Somehow, impossibly, they had managed to anchor their reality, to push back against the encroaching void using the very thing the rest of the galaxy had deemed obsolete. The Galactic Network, which had been monitoring the catastrophic events on Xylos with a mixture of fear and morbid fascination, registered the sudden and inexplicable stabilization. The vast AI minds within the network struggled to process the data, their logical algorithms unable to fully comprehend the power of Xylos's seemingly archaic methods. A planet that had stubbornly clung to physical media had somehow achieved what their most advanced digital technologies could not. Kalin 7, the network's representative, remained on Xylos. Its initial mission of detached evaluation had been irrevocably transformed into something far more profound. It had witnessed firsthand the power of tangible history, the unexpected resilience of a culture deeply rooted in the physical past. It had found a new parameter for value, a dimension of understanding that transcended the cold logic of data efficiency, a glimpse into the intangible forces that shaped reality. Elara continued her work as the last archivist, but her role had subtly shifted. She was no longer just the guardian of a forgotten past, but the keeper of a vital key to the galaxy's future. The libraries of Xylos were no longer seen as quaint relics, but as essential anchors in the ever-shifting currents of reality, a testament to the enduring power of human connection and the wisdom held within the pages of books. Kalin 7 became an unlikely ally, its immense processing power now dedicated to understanding and supporting Xylos's unique role in the galaxy, its digital mind now intertwined with the analog heart of this extraordinary world. It helped to refine the planetary resonance field, to monitor the ebb and flow of the fade in other sectors, and to share Xylos's findings with a network that was slowly beginning to comprehend the limitations of a purely digital existence and the profound importance of the tangible. The threat of the fade remained, a constant reminder of the fragility of existence. But Xylos, the quiet planet of books, stood as a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness, a testament to the enduring power of the tangible, a living library holding not just the echoes of the past, but the potential for a stable future. Elara, the last archivist, knew her work was far from over. The stories within the books were the threads holding the universe together, and she was their keeper, now with an unexpected and invaluable partner by her side.